I just really feel like if you're Kansas City at this point, like this sounds like the dumbest take in the world because it is really stupid, but that's my brand. Like they got to stop around with these cutesy little like, oh, you know, what if Jerry Tillery decides to cash in on his potential from 15 years ago? Like, what if we brought back Derek Nottie for a swap of picks? Like,
yeah.
To your point earlier, to repeat, bring in good football players. You can't win a Super Bowl if your quarterback is terrible. It happens.
Yeah.
It's extraordinarily rare.
We won 2 Super Bowls without Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, it'll be a lot easier having Tyreek Hill on the goddamn offense.
Two things can be true at the same time. The Chiefs are a really good team. The Raiders are an absolute disaster.
It's That Football Show here on KC Sports Summer. Tucker Franklin hanging out with Matt Verderame for your Friday edition of That Football Show. Thank you to our partners, Ben Holiday, Bottled in Bond Bourbon and Holiday Distillery, for making this whole show possible. Everything we do is because of Holiday Distillery. Thank you to them and the fine folks there. We are just a few days away from the NFL Combine. Next show we will do will not be at the Combine, but we will do a show for you. Our Friday show will be at the Combine for you guys because we'll record before we leave on Monday. And Monday, Matt and I have a very big reservation at St. Elmo's, so we do have to get there. So, Matt, all things considered, how are you doing?
I'm doing better than a certain Chiefs receiver, among other people.
Yeah.
I'm good. We're recording on a Thursday afternoon. I spent Wednesday evening watching St. John's beat Marquette, which was fun. But no, I'm good. I'm living the dream. How are you doing?
Doing pretty good, actually. We are recording this usually earlier than we typically record the podcast because, you know, in the season we kind of get into a habit of recording the podcast pretty late at night just because we want to let the dust settle on, you know, NFL games that are of importance. Sometimes we would record our Friday episode before the Thursday night football game if it didn't really have any impact. Usually if it was like an NFC game or something that didn't really matter a whole lot. But we with the offseason and no games, like we can actually record these podcasts whenever we want. It's like when you realize you have free will at some point and you're just like, oh, I can just do this whenever I want. And that's kind of what we've discovered with this podcast now is that we can just record this whenever we want and we're going to.
Yes, we are not going to bow down to the man any longer.
Nope.
So that is true. No, it's good. We're here. We're ready to party. We've got a lot to talk about. And pretty much all of it involves the Chiefs. The Chiefs, you know, you wake up and you're like, oh, Mahomes got restructured.
That was early in the morning too, by the way. That was like 6 in the morning.
Apparently Beach just couldn't sleep. And then you're like, and then you see the Rashee Rice and you're like, oh, okay, great. And then Tyreek Hill's like, wait a minute. I'm in Kansas City, so we'll touch on all that and then some. But yeah, it's a lot going on with the Chiefs, and they basically packed all that into about a 6-hour window. So that was nice for them to just make sure that was all nice and buttoned up for everybody.
So I think chronologically, the way that it worked was Tyreek Hill was cut on the day before all this happened. So it was in the morning, probably 24 hours, pretty close to 24 hours before Patrick Mahomes restructured. Obviously, that kind of spread like wildfire that like Tyreek Hill has been released, and we all figured that was going to happen. I think we've talked about that mid-season last year about Tyreek Hill probably getting released just because of his injury and how he's at. We'll talk about that a little bit later too, and about if Tyreek Hill is even going to come to Kansas City and what that would even look like.
Correct.
But then had the Chiefs are starting to dig themselves out of this salary cap hole that we've been talking about for about 6 months now, ever since the season's felt over for the Chiefs. We've been talking about this salary cap hole. And they did the first step. And truthfully, Matt, they did it kind of early. This is usually earlier than they typically seem to do these conversions. And that what they did with the conversion, the Chiefs converted $44.05 million of Patrick Mahomes' 2026 base salary and a $10.4 million roster bonus into fully guaranteed roster bonus, creating $43.56 million in cap room. That's per Tom Pelissero. Jason Fitzgerald of Over the Cap was the first one to report that cap maneuver. A simple restructure converts payments into a prorated bonus that is spread over the remaining years of the deal, allowing teams to push cap hits into future years. Reading this from NFL.com's report from Kevin Patra here on the report there. So Mahomes, obviously, you guys know, is rehabbing from his season-ending knee injury that he had. He was set to have a $78.2 million cap hit in 2026. The restructure sinks that number to 34.65. The move adds a shade under 11 million to the subsequent seasons as well. The quarterback's 2027 cap hit now stands at 85.25 million. He will not play at that number. Patrick Mahomes will never play at a number that high. Everyone listening to this podcast should know that the way his contract is structured, Patrick Mahomes it's a Bank of Mahomes for the way the Chiefs have. So the Chiefs do convert a lot of this, almost $44 million. It's close. I think it's, $43.56 million in cap room. But here's the thing, Matt, they do all that. They're still under the cap because they have a hole, but this is the first move that I think was anticipated for a lot of broader moves as we head into Indianapolis and combine season and rumor season and free agency.
Yeah. Also, too, just as a point of clarification, because I have seen this on Twitter at an alarming rate. People that are like, "Man, got to give it to Mahomes. Gave up $43 million because he wants to win." I'm like,
he's not giving up shit.
That's not how any of this works. So for anyone who's curious, so let's just for the purposes of making this a clean number, let's say they restructured 40. Okay, they restructured like a little over 43 and a half. Mm-hmm. If it was 40. The most you can do is restructure over the course of 5 years. Right? So they're putting $8 million on each of his next 5 cap hits. That's what they're doing. Yep. And that money, when you do that, becomes fully guaranteed. So that's all they did. Like, he's not giving up money. He's not, by the way, he also doesn't have a choice in the matter. The team.
Oh, that's true. Yes.
The team can just do that unilaterally. They don't have to ask him. They can just do it. Players generally like to see their contracts restructured because that means more guaranteed money for them.
They get the money up front, basically, is what happens.
Correct. Exactly. So like they don't care. It's transferring the money from your base salary to bonus. Okay. So like when you sign a contract, if a player is to sign a 3-year, $30 million deal and there's a $12 million signing bonus, by law of the NFL, that signing bonus is split evenly over the life of the deal. Mm-hmm. Okay. And then there's workout bonuses and signing bonus, it's signing bonus, and then there's the base salary and all that stuff, right? Incentives, whatever. All it is a conversion from base salary to bonus. That's what a restructure is. So the amount of people who are like, "Man, gotta hand it to him. Just giving up 43 mil." I'm like, yeah, that's not what's happening. Now, that being said, it does certainly help the Chiefs' cap position. They went from like basically 55 million over to like 11 over. Mm-hmm. They are going to get under when they cut Juwan Taylor. I'd imagine that day's not too far off in the distance.
Yeah.
So that would, in theory, look, real easy napkin math. Okay. Right now, the Chiefs are sitting at exactly, according to over the cap, 11.35 million over the cap. Now, if they were to just very, very simply, okay, so you are going to cut Juwan Taylor, that puts you at 8.6. Or you're in the green now, 8.6. If they were to move off of Mike Dana and Drew Tranquill, they would all of a sudden now have 23.5 million in space. And then they could easily restructure Karlaftis and save about 9 million there.
Yeah.
So that would put them at 32.5. If they wanted to save any more money, look, McDuffy, if they trade him, that saves 13.6. If they extend him, they'd probably cut that number in half. So they'd be close to 40 even if they extend them. The other guy I'm watching, because I'm curious to see if they do something, Jalen Moore.
Okay.
His cap hit, so last year of his deal is 18.6.
It's high.
What if they give him an extension? Like, did they see enough to be, you're the right tackle of the future, and give him an extension and shave off 11 million off that number? So, they could also restructure Jones or Humphrey or Trey Smith or whatever. Point is, the Chiefs want to get the 40 million in cap space. It's not going to be a problem. They can do it, no problem. If you got 40 million in space, you got plenty to work with. So,
100%.
Realistically speaking, the Chiefs actually not in a bad cap spot. They really aren't. They have the least amount of dead money of any team in the NFL. So they don't have.
That's not a shock. That's kind of how they operate. Yeah.
Right, and that's not weighing them down. Listen. I mean, the bottom line is the Chiefs have money here if they want to use it to move around and to spend. But the first big domino was the expected domino, which is that Mahomes is now on a much lower cap hit. And then next year, his cap hit is hilarious. His cap hit is $85.2 million.
Yeah.
Followed up by a whole bunch of years where it's like it's in the 50s, which they will just either rip up his contract and redo it, or they will just say, yeah, we'll just restructure it. We don't care.
I don't have it up in front of me, but I think 2027 was kind of the year that was kind of targeted anyway of like, all right, let's redo this deal.
That sounds right. Yeah.
But look, when he signed this deal, it was 10-year, $450 million. This was in July of 2020 when they got this deal done. And the deal was basically built, if you guys remember, to give the Chiefs cap flexibility with, and I know that when it was talked about, it was kind of brought up about the Tom Brady route of being able to restructure your contract and give your team cap space and cap flexibility to build around you. That was the thought process behind it. So that was a part of the whole deal. Like, this is I like calling it the Bank of Mahomes, right? When you just go in there and be like, all right, let's move some money around. Let's fudge the books a little bit. This is a good way of cap circumvention that's like legal. I guess you could say is legal cap circumvention. This isn't like going to a company and saying you're planting trees and just giving no-show deals like Kawhi Leonard and the Clippers. But it is a legal way to kind of get around a lot of these things, kind of like void years, I guess, or a legal cap circumvention way. But the way they structured this was really smart. I think it it's leading to a lot of interesting possibilities for the Chiefs. One of the things our buddy Connor Christopherson brought up to me, and I hadn't really thought about that, is extending Creed Humphrey. There's no reason to not extend Creed Humphrey, right? The center position, he can still be the top paid center, and it would be like $15 million at APY or something like that. So it's not like it's that much. He is the top paid center right now, I believe, off the top of the head. But
he is.
If you extend him, you can lower his cap hit, and there's no reason not to extend Creed Humphrey at this point. I think that kind of feels like a no-brainer for all sides, and you can bring his cap hit down, give him a bonus, whatever you want. I know those guys like the bonuses because that is obviously guaranteed money. NFL contracts don't have a ton of guaranteed money on them. That's kind of the biggest gripe between like the players and the owners, not necessarily the biggest, but when it comes to contracts, the guaranteed money is not the same as baseball or the same as basketball in those regards. Or I think even hockey might have more actual guaranteed money than what, even though their cap is much lower, they might have more guaranteed money than what the NFL does because of all of these bonuses and everything, like qualifiers, I guess, incentives.
Well, the NFL, they just don't fully guaranteed contracts. All the other sports.
Yeah, right.
So,
yeah.
Yeah, that's why the NBA, it's why guys play 20 games a year. So
they can do that.
Just take a nap and just relax.
Mm-hmm.
No, listen, the Chiefs can continue to do things with their finances.
Yeah, they
do. And we're going to continue to see more and more moves with them. And we're also going to see more moves around the league. James Boyd is a buddy of mine that works at The Athletic, covers the Colts. He tweeted out that there's a possibility that Michael Pittman Jr. is going to be a cap casualty with the Colts. Mm-hmm. He's a guy that I think if you're a Chiefs fan, you might want to pay attention to that because he's pretty good. And he's 28 years old. And I got to tell you, if he gets cut, and by the way, if they cut him, they save $24 million.
Whew.
So they very well might cut him.
My understanding is what they kind of want to do is they want to flip those contracts with him and Alec Pierce, basically.
Yes,
so they would just basically fill in that whatever money he's making.
Can I be a voice in the wilderness and say I'd rather have Michael Pittman?
Interesting. Okay.
So Alec Pierce is really good at catching the deep ball.
He is.
That's what he's really good at. If you look at Alec Pierce's numbers the last 2 years, he has led the league in yards per reception, both of the seasons. 22.3, 22.1. He's got 13 touchdowns in that span. He's a good player. Yep. He also has 84 total receptions in that time. That don't get me wrong. Like, I get it. I get that there's a lot of value in having that kind of a deep ball receiver. Michael Pittman had 80 receptions this past season.
Yeah, right.
I look at who he's playing with, and it's just the quarterbacks have been awful most of his career. If I'm the Chiefs, I'm pretty interested in if they cut Michael Pittman. So we're going to see more and more guys become available. Mm-hmm. But the Chiefs are going to make moves. I wouldn't be surprised to even make a few while we're at the combine.
Yeah, right.
That could totally be in play. It's not hard to just cut a player. And typically you want to give veterans a chance to latch on somewhere else because once you cut a guy, the guy can sign anywhere right away. Mm-hmm. So I would expect the Chiefs are going to be continually busy here.
Which, speaking of, Tyreek Hill falls in that category. If he was cut by the Dolphins, he can sign anywhere whenever he wants to.
Yeah.
There's a lot of questions about Tyreek Hill. I know that a lot of the books offshore and in the States have come out with odds of where Tyreek Hill is going to land next, with the Chiefs being the favorite, and I think nearly every book. It's an interesting conversation to have, Matt, when it comes to the wide receiver and how they're going to position themselves. Is signing Tyreek Hill really going to, I'm going to say this in air quotes, quote unquote, fix the wide receiver room, when we talk about a lot of context that goes into what's around the wide receiver room right now with what's going on with Rashee Rice, which we'll dive into a little bit more, and Xavier Worthy. Is he going to know where a sideline is? They have a new wide receiver coach, which hopefully that helps him out and know where it is. But we talked about this on Monday's show. You look at that wide receiver room, they got 3 guys under contract right now. Like, they need bodies. And if they sign Tyreek Hill, I don't even know if that body's going to be able to play.
Yeah. So we were talking earlier. I mean, he went on his Twitch stream and said he needs another surgery, which I got to tell you,
It's not great.
If he needs another surgery, he's not, like, what are the odds he's even playing this season? Not high, right? I mean, I'm not a doctor. I don't want to, didn't see him high.
Right.
Look, I've kind of waffled on this whole thing, like, pre-understanding he needed another surgery. Should they give him a 1-year deal? Should they not? And this is where we get into the part about Rashee Rice, because then the Rashee Rice news comes out. And for anyone who's been living under a rock and didn't see it, there's a lawsuit down in Dallas County Court. Dakota Jones, who's the mother of his children, who he has been in a relationship with for, I don't know if all or parts of from 2023 to 2025. She leveled a lawsuit against him that alleges a lot of ugliness, a lot of domestic abuse, varieties of it. It's disgusting. There are no criminal charges.
Correct.
To be clear, it seems to be a civil matter. But listen, I don't know whether he's guilty, not guilty. I'm not a judge. That's not my job. My job is to say this. There's been nothing but problems with Rashee Rice since he's been in Kansas City. Nothing.
Yeah.
He has been in hot water for one reason or another, whether they're allegations or at this point, flat out crimes he committed, for years. This is nonstop with this guy. It has been one problem after the next with Rashee Rice. And when all this came out, after waffling with the stuff with Hill, like, well, is it worth the headache for one? You know what? I'm to the point. No, it's not.
Yeah.
It's just not. They need to start. And I'm not, I am not going to get on a soapbox and preach about how they need to be the Boy Scouts. Okay.
Sure.
I've had more than a few executives say to me over the years, listen, I'm not trying to put together, a choir group. I'm trying to put together a bunch of guys who go win a Super Bowl. And sometimes I need to deal with people that I wouldn't normally deal with. And that's just the way it is. And I get the reality of that. It's an ugly reality, but it's a reality. What I would say is, I think if you're the Chiefs, and frankly, if you're Brett Veach in the front office and Clark Hunt, who is approving all this stuff, you need to start taking a real hard look at character a little bit more than you do. The Chiefs have had a laundry list of guys in this dynastic run who are dudes who range from questionable character to just flat out bad dudes. Just there's no way around it. Tyreek Hill's got a huge list of stuff, whether it's actual crimes or allegations over the years. Rashee Rice, I think it's fair to say at this point, he's in that category. They brought in Darren Lee as a linebacker who was just charged with murdering his girlfriend. DeAndre Baker had off-field problems.
Yep.
Damon Arnett lasted, I think, literally a day with the Chiefs because of off-field issues. They brought in Charles Omenihu, who before he played a game for them was suspended 6 games for some ugly off-field stuff. Frank Clark had some off-field stuff. We could go on and on. Willie Gay got suspended for wheeling a vacuum through a wall. At least he didn't hit somebody. I'll grant them that. To me, it's a little bit different. Fine, but still not great. The Chiefs have had just what feels like an endless amount of guys. Obviously, the whole thing with Kareem Hunt. An endless amount of guys over the last handful of years who it's just Hey, he got suspended for this. He got suspended for that. He's got a lawsuit pending against him. Well, he got arrested for this. Well, you know what? They had to kick this guy off the team because of that. There comes a point, and I think this point is now with this Chiefs team, where, listen, you're rebuilding this thing in a lot of ways anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Might be time to start factoring in, like, hey, is this guy going to be here? Forget for a moment the morality of it. Because, okay, you want to argue, hey, my team doesn't have to be a morality compass. My team's got to win football games. If you want to take that cold, hard stance, that's fine, because you know what? That's how the NFL looks at it. So let's look at it from their perspective for a minute. Let's take out it's morally reprehensible at a point. Okay, take that out of it. Just a football look at it. If I'm Brett Veach, if I'm Clark Hunt, if I'm Andy Reid, at some point I'm saying, hey, man, I can't go into every season wondering if this guy is going to be available to me for 17 games.
Sure, absolutely.
I need guys who are going to be, if you're Veach, you're not worried if Patrick Mahomes is going to give you a phone call at 4 a.m. or Travis Kelce or Chris Jones or George Karlaftis or Nick Bolton or Trent McDuffie or Jalen Watson or Brian Cook, Creed Humphrey, Trey Smith, Kingsley Sue-Montia. Be fair, Isaiah Pacheco. Like, I'm not worried I'm getting a phone call about one of these guys from a police officer at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
There's value in that. Like, there's real value in the fact that I can put my head down at night if I'm the general manager of the team, not wondering, like, boy, I better not put this on vibrate just because I'm going to have to make sure I get the phone call. It's Friday night. The club's open. Yeah. And, oh, God. And with Rashee Rice, like, anytime he's behind the wheel, like, do I need to have, like, my phone on me at all times? There does come a point where if you're a team, you're doing yourself a football disservice.
Yes.
By having these people on your team because they are unreliable. And there does come a point where I think you have to say, look, it matters. It matters what their character is, not just because of the moral side of it, but from our business side of it, It has become a problem.
I think both things can be true at the same time.
Absolutely.
I pulled up the personal conduct policy, and granted, the PDF I found, this does say 2022. I don't know if it's changed a whole lot since then.
Right.
I want to read section 1 of the personal conduct policy. It is not enough to simply to avoid being found guilty of a crime in a court of law. We are all held to a higher standard and must conduct ourselves in a way that is responsible, promotes the values of the NFL, and is lawful. Players convicted of a crime or subject to a deposition of a criminal proceeding as defined in this policy are subject to discipline. But even if the conduct does not result in criminal conviction, players found to have engaged in any of the following conduct will be subject to discipline. Obviously, there's a long list there. I find that very, very interesting. Now, we know that with the NFL, that you do not have to necessarily be found guilty to be found in violation of the personal conduct policy. This is where I think is a part that, to kind of hearken on your point that you've made, Rashee Rice has already been suspended for violation of the personal conduct penalty. Yeah. I'm looking at it right now. When you look at violations of the personal conduct policy, it talks about baseline suspension without pay of 6 games is possible. That's what we saw with Rashee Rice. A second violation will result in permanent banishment from the NFL. An individual who has been banished may petition for reinstatement after 1 year, but there is no presumption of assurance that the petition will be granted. Rashee Rice is staring down the barrel of a second violation of the NFL personal conduct policy. And he already had a 6-game suspension. Yep. And if he so here's the other part. He doesn't have to be found liable to the $1 million lawsuit, civil lawsuit. The NFL can say, hey man, like that's a little too much. Like we've already suspended you 6 games for something completely unrelated. This is something completely different from what we suspended you the first time. That's enough. Like we don't need you here anymore. And like that's a real realm in the possibility, because he's a multi-time violator of the personal conduct policy, that he could just be straight up booted from the NFL. And I think that's a real possibility that we're talking about, that he could have played his last snap of NFL football. And I don't think it's too big of a stretch to get there, especially when, you mentioned the lawsuit that is alleged. There's some nasty stuff in there. And if it is true, man, I hope that all involved are okay. All the victims involved are good and get what the justice that they are seeking and they deserve. But golly, if it's true, man, it would be hard to see Rashee Rice suit up for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Here's the other part of this. He signed for 1 more year.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
if they think, first of all, I mean, I'll backtrack for that. Sign for one more year. There's no fucking world they're extending this guy, right? That would be, yeah. I mean, my God, man. If they give that guy an extension, why don't you just light the money on fire? Mm-hmm. Why don't you just do it now? Like, he's trying to get life-changing money as we speak, and this is how he acts. And I understand I know there are people out there going, hey, man, it's allegations. I got it. You know, it's not allegations. The felonies he was found guilty of in Texas that were so numerous, they're like, look, 30 days in jail for you.
Yeah, he still has to serve that, by the way.
Yes. Like, so this is on top of that.
Yes.
Then there was also that incident that ended up going nowhere, but like was outside the nightclub and like he may have punched somebody. Listen.
Alleged college incident too that didn't have him on boards, on people's draft boards. Yeah.
I am not saying he's guilty of any of these allegations. I don't know that. What I am saying is when there's this much smoke around somebody, okay, that's a fucking problem.
Yep.
Like however you want to determine it, that's a problem. And if you're the Chiefs, you're telling me you're giving this guy a big extension off of this? Like what, there's no way in hell you're doing that. That would be the most ludicrous extension in the history of the franchise.
Yeah.
And so at some point, I think you do have to look at this and go, okay, if he's only going to be here for one more year, do you just get rid of him? Do you just say, you know what? Fuck this. Like, I don't think they can trade him. I have no idea who the hell would acquire him.
The Browns. But there would be
first rounder.
Yeah. There would be no team in their right mind willing to take it on. But again, you talk about getting rid of him this year. When you talk about the football side of things, you're looking at Xavier Worthy, Jalen Rose, Nico Remigio as your wide receivers right now.
Right. And that's kind of my but
like he's not going to play though. Like that's the other part. Is the NFL really going to let him play?
And if he does, what's he going to be playing for 5 games?
Yeah.
You know? But here's again, the football part of it is we just talked about how much money they can open up. This leads into my overarching point. We were talking before we came on here about mock off-season simulators and how everyone who uses one should be sent to Siberia.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Here's my off-season thought. If you're the Chiefs, and I can tell you right now for a fact, having talked to people in that building, they kind of believe internally this might take more than 1 year to get this team to where they really want to get them to.
Sure.
Doesn't mean they don't think they can win this year. Doesn't mean they don't think they can maybe even contend for a Super Bowl. But like to really get this roster where they want to get it to, it's probably going to take 2 years. Here's my thought. Move off of him. Just get rid of him because you're not keeping him anyway. Open up as much cap space as you can within reason. Go out, sign one legitimate receiver.
Yep.
And a big-time running back, and then draft Lemon or Tate at 9. I don't care. And go into the season and tell Steve Spagnuolo, buddy, try and hold them.
Spags, we're so sorry.
Buddy, listen. We're either going to keep McDuffy, and
you have to at this point, I think. Like
or we can talk about that in a minute. Or
yeah, we do.
Or you trade him, and maybe you use that pick on a pass rusher. And you keep Cook and Watson, and maybe you keep Chanel. I don't think Chanel's going to cost nearly as much as some other people think he will.
No, I don't think so.
And then you're just like, listen, your defense is basically a first-round edge rusher. It's Karlaftis and Jones. It's Nick Bolton, who you love to death. It's Chanel. And it's Watson, Cook, Noel Williams. Like, can you make that the 16th best defense in the NFL? Because we're going to score 40 fucking points a game. Like that. We're going to have Mahomes, Kelsey, a really good line. Let's just call it Travis Etienne. Let's call it Worthy, Dobbs, Carnell Tate, and Tyquan Thornton. We're just going to score. Hey, Bo Nix, score 50. Good luck, bud. Here it comes. Like, if I'm the Chiefs, I would just lean into the idea we're scoring 30 plus every game.
Yeah.
Do it. Like, because if I'm Spags at that point, bro, I'm bringing every blitz. You haven't even seen the kind of blitzes I'm bringing. Like, we score enough points to do that. Hey, man, I'm bringing everybody.
Yeah.
I don't care if we give up. Fine. It's worth the risk, right? Like, I would just go out and build a ridiculous ridiculous offense.
Sure.
And say, look, fuck it. We'll draft the pass rusher at 29. I'll do you one better. We'll draft 2 of them, 29 and 40. Here's 2 pass rushers, Jones and Karlaftis. You get Norman Lott back. You've got Chenal. You've got Bolton at the second level. Maybe they can play Bossa. I don't know. Who the hell knows? Yeah. And then your secondary is Watson, Williams, Fulton, Cook, fucking Jamari Connor. Like,
Christian Wallace is out there. Yeah.
Kevin Knowles. Like, hey, we're going to trust Merritt and Spags to just figure it out.
Yeah.
And we're going to have a top tier running back, the best quarterback in the world, a great line, still a top 5 tight end, Carnell Tate, Romeo Dobbs, Xavier Worthy. Scored 35 a game, boys. Here it comes. Got the enemy screaming at somebody because they moved one time in 8 weeks. Like, yeah, that's what I would do. And like at that point, you don't need Rashee Rice. Screw this. Like, I don't need this crap. Because here's the other thing. What do they do? Let's say he gets suspended for 12 games.
Yeah.
And let's say they're rolling offensively. And then he comes back. And now they got to bench somebody. For what? To piss some guy off so he can play 5 games and he's gone again?
Yeah.
Who needs this shit? Like, just cut him. Get rid of him. I don't know. I just think there just comes a point where you got to just say, you know what? It is more beneficial for us to move off of him than to keep him.
I think it's a great point. I have some thoughts on your strategy, but we got to take a break first. I'll add some of my thoughts to it coming up right after this. Chiefs.
Just a short drive from Kansas City. Experience the history, the heritage, and the bourbon at Holiday Distillery. Tour Missouri's oldest distillery, where real Missouri bourbon is made the old-fashioned way. Walk the grounds, taste the tradition, and take home a bottle of something special. Make the trip, sip the story. Holiday Distillery, Weston, Missouri. Book your tour at holidaydistillery.com.
I'm BJ Kissel, founder and CEO of KC Sports Network. Emprise Bank has been with us from the beginning. They were our first network partner, and they believed in the vision of what we were building from the start. I can't speak to any other banks or companies and how they operate, but I can tell you from personal experience and based on the growth of the network you're listening to right now, that if you have banking needs, call our friends at Emprise Bank. We've worked with so many great people there over the years, from Vicky and Aggie to Andrea, Lori, Jackie, Deb, and Aaron, and not to mention so many others that not just supported KC Sports Network, but supported our KCSN Foundation as well. But the best thing that I know is that if I have a question or a problem, no matter how dumb the question is, I know who I'm going to call and who I'm going to talk to, and I know that I'm getting an answer from someone that I can trust, and I know that person is there to help us. That's why Emprise Bank has always been and continues to be our partner in Possible, and they can be yours too. You just have to reach out. If you have a banking need, whether it's business or personal, hit me up. I will connect you directly with the same people that have helped us build KCSN, and that's our friends at Emprise Bank.
So, Matt, I do think that this whole news about Rashee Rice coming out does kind of knock Jeremiah Love off their board. And I think that I think they're going to be forced to take a wide receiver. I think that they are going to be pigeonholed to taking a wide receiver especially when you look at what they have. I mean, we already talked about it. They got 3 guys currently under roster. One of them is up in the air if he is even going to be. And then they have Nico Remigio as an exclusive rights free agent. We'll see what Jalen Royals turns into. We'll see if Xavier Worthy can grow from having an adult in the room as his wide receiver coach, which I don't want to overstate that, but I think that's going to be huge. Having a guy that's actually coached wide receivers before as his wide receiver coach. That
will help, as will the first time he runs a route too wide and Eric Bieniemy just starts throwing like random equipment at him.
Yeah.
That'll also probably get his attention.
So I also thought Matt Miller's on the KCSN draft show coming up on Friday, actually, a little later in the day when you're listening to this. Matt Miller has a conversation with the lab guys, and they kind of talk about this, and it was brought up to Matt about how, like, what he thinks the Chiefs will do at 9, like who's an offensive player that he loves, he's standing on the table for the Chiefs to pick at pick 9, and he's like, I don't think they should take offense at 9. And this was recorded obviously pre the Rashee Rice incident coming out. And I thought that was interesting. I'm just like, oh, like they should probably go defense. Cause especially when you look at the edge rushers, like Ruben Bain could be there. Sure. Like there could be some really good guys there at the board and for the edge rushers that could be great to add to the defense. And cause their defensive end room, we talked about it on Monday's show, incredibly thin.
Yeah.
And man, the more I look at this defensive roster, little sidebar here, the more I just get pissed off by how devoid of talent it is. It is bleak. And if I'm Steve Spagnuolo, I don't think I'm sleeping.
Raise.
Yeah, I'm demanding. You are making me have to get get something out of this.
One of those commercials like, have you been injured and they're due compensation?
Yes.
Like Spagnuolo's just laying on the couch like an ice pack on his head.
Yeah.
You know, like, I don't know. We have to blitz with Ashton Gillette. I don't know. Yeah.
So that was my thought originally. It's like, okay, maybe they probably need to go defense because in the history of the Patrick Mahomes era, they've usually tried to stock up with their young guys on defense to be more cost controlled on that side of the ball, hit home runs with free agents on the offensive side of the ball, give Patrick Mahomes a toy to play with. The swings that they've taken offensively with free agents, well, really free agents as of late have not been good. That might be a conversation that we need to have. Especially last off season, boy, howdy, there's a lot of empty dollars floating around there. Elijah Mitchell, hope he's well, but
he should be well. He didn't get hit.
He got paid.
Should be fresh as a daisy. Should be doing great.
That is great. But that's just why I think that Rashee Rice's decision ultimately to do what he did, and then face the consequences of his actions, right? Have forced the Chiefs' hands of, okay, now they actually have a pretty big hole that they're going to need to fill. And we know that the Chiefs like to go into the draft with their holes virtually plugged, like a roster they can roll the ball out there and they could play a game if they needed to, right? Like that's how they kind of like to operate. So then they're not necessarily really needing to draft a wide receiver at pick 9. But man, even if they sign a guy, I really think that they need to draft a wide receiver at 9.
I don't know. I really don't know if you're the Chiefs how you don't like. Look. Patrick Mahomes comes around once in a lifetime. And when he retires, hopefully you're a Chiefs fan, it's not 10, 12 years now. Like, when he retires, That's it. And then you're back to fucking watching garbage at quarterback for the next 40 years until we all die. Okay? So,
yeah,
not putting an offense around this guy is a cardinal sin. And listen, they've had immense success with Patrick Mahomes. I don't want to make this like, I feel like sometimes the doom and gloom with some Chiefs fans is kind of wild. Like, listen, they've had an immense amount of success with him.
Yeah.
It is also fair to say, since they traded Tyreek Hill, they have not put a single meaningful wide receiver around this guy in 4 years. 100%. Now, 2022, they had the best offense in football. Okay? They were fine. He won the MVP. They were a great offense. 2023, they bet big on Kadarius Toney and Sky Moore.
Oh,
that bet did not cat. Hey, that bet was a tragedy.
That's one way to put it.
Yeah, that's like if you went to a casino and put $50 on red, and not only did it land on black, but somebody kicked you in the balls and simultaneously hit you over the head with a baseball bat. That's what that bet ended up doing, and yet somehow won a Super Bowl. Okay, like
that's the stupidest part of the whole thing is that they won the Super Bowl,
and those two guys scored touchdowns in Super Bowls for that team. Not that year, but the year prior. So you have that. Then in 2024, I'll defend Veach on this one a little bit. Look, they drafted Worthy. They signed Hollywood.
Yep.
Rice was coming off a really good rookie season, and the thing went to hell because of injuries. Like.
Sure. Yeah.
That one I'm not going to get on. Like everybody felt like they did a great job getting that thing set. And it just, look, shit happens. Mm-hmm. Rice had a freak injury. Brown had a freak injury. It just happens. Last year is the one to me that's indefensible. Mm-hmm. You knew Rice was going to get docked. You knew it was coming.
Yep.
Hollywood has a long history of being beat up and was coming off of basically a season-long injury. Your response to that was, Bring him back. Bring Juju back. Bring back the same crappy running backs that we know aren't any good.
Yep.
Like, they get no pass from me for last year. Last year was, we know this sucks. We're going to do it anyway. And somehow lucked into Tyquan Thornton and then benched him.
Yeah.
You cannot do that with this guy again this year. You just cannot. Like, I don't care. I will have a one-man mutiny if they bring back Hollywood Brown or Juju. I will lose my mind. I don't give a shit who they bring in. It cannot be those guys. It cannot be the same group of guys. You've got to bring in a real receiver in free agency, a real receiver in the draft. Even if you keep Rice, like, you've got to. I just, at some point, you have to move off of this stuff where it's like, well, hey, he might be suspended for 12 weeks, but boy, when he comes back, those 5 weeks, great.
Yeah.
That's like dating somebody who it's like, man, 5 days out of the week, she's cheating on me nonstop, sending me texts, say, I'm out with Bob. I'm out with Bob. I am just brazenly sleeping with Bob. But those 2 days we're together, God, it's heaven.
Mm-hmm.
Who cares? What value is that? Like, what are you doing? You need to move off of these, to continue the metaphor, toxic relationships. Like, just stop. Go. If Carnell Tate is there at 9, I'm sorry. I don't give a shit who else is there at 9. You take that guy.
Yeah.
You just do it. Like, we do this thing every year where we watch college football and everybody watches this kid and they're like, damn, he is the best receiver in this class. The best. And then the season ends and you start getting I like Denzel Boston better. It's like, really? Do you really? Because not a soul I felt that way for 4 months.
Yeah.
Like, I like Mekhi Lemon a lot. I like him a lot.
Yeah,
he's
good.
also 5'10".
Yeah.
Like, Carnell
Chiefs
Tate,
type. Yeah.
he's big, he's fast, he runs unbelievable routes. The guy did not have a drop last year. He didn't have a drop. Like, you just take that guy, right? Yeah. Like, sometimes it's just, don't overthink this crap. It's like I watched Ruben Bain, right? Mm-hmm. That guy's just really fucking good. Like, I don't care if he runs a 4.6 or a 4. I don't give a shit. I watched the guy play football.
Right.
He's a really good football player.
Yeah.
You know, like, I don't care. To me, they need to just overhaul that room. And if the Chiefs can only fix one side of the ball this year, fix your offense. Go score 30 friggin' points a game and trust your Hall of Fame defensive coordinator to figure it out. Like, that's what I would do. So that's how I would approach this. And by the way, one thing I wanted to ask you about, because you said it earlier, McDuffie, you think at this point they're like committed, they have to just sign him?
Well, this is what we keep talking about this, right? Of like how much the Chiefs defense suck. And then we were talking about trading their second best player on the defense. Like, we just keep doing that. Like, that's what I'm always a really big fan in, like, it's going to be a controversial take here. I'm a big fan of having good football players on my favorite team, right?
Let's not go nuts. Somewhere the Jets are furious.
The Jets are pissed. The Browns are livid. So it's hard for me. I understand wanting to trade Trent McDuffie, get assets, right? The Chiefs don't have a ton of draftable assets right now, and they can trade for a pick in next year's draft too, which is by all accounts going to be better than what this draft is. Who knows where that asset will be? So I understand the mystery box, right? It's the Family Guy clip of this. It's a mystery box. It can be anything in here. It can even be Trent McDuffie, in the mystery box. So why don't you just keep Trent McDuffie? And you have probably 2 more years, right? This is the 5th year of his contract.
Correct.
Then you have 2 franchise tags you could realistically throw on him. Now, does that sour your relationship? Probably. But from a team control perspective, like, you have 3 years that you can use of Trent McDuffie.
Good.
You could go that way. If you're trying to make this defense better, it seems kind of oxymoronic to trade away a good player. And I understand both sides of the argument. And like, I was on the side of like, all right, you got to go ahead and trade McDuffie because of, this is his value. I don't know if you really want to invest as much money as he's going to be asking for. I'd rather sign Jalen Watson. And I think you could probably still sign Jalen Watson and then deal with Trip McDuffie as it comes, right? As well as you're doing all these other restructures and everything. You can also re-sign Trip McDuffie and, throw all that money in the back end. But I think when you talk about this defense, it feels a little crazy to me to be like, oh yeah, let's just give up the second best player on this defense and have 32-year-old Chris Jones try to shoulder the whole defensive load for this Chiefs team. That's what it doesn't feel right to me in that regard, because I'm a big fan of like keeping good players again, as I said, but it doesn't help like on your defense when you look at this. I looked this up. I had to make sure I had this right. The Chiefs offseason last year, their external free agents that they brought in.
Oh, it's not good.
Jerry Tillery, Gardner Minshew.
Please. I can't. It's like Andre the Giant. And they, no. Yeah. No, go ahead. Okay.
Gardner Minshew with backup quarterback. Well, who cares at that point?
He might have been the best signing. Go ahead.
Yeah, actually, I think he was. Christian Fulton.
Yeah. Okay. Sure.
Didn't really play.
Played 2 games.
Yeah. Elijah Mitchell.
Great.
And Jalen Moore.
Jalen Moore, I think actually was good when he played, but yeah, it's all their conversation.
Yeah, I mean they ended up paying what, $18 million. It was 2-year, $30 million contract. I think they gave him 14 the first year, so he's a $14 million swing tackle, which ended up being that for him. So I mean, look, it's a good thing they had him because their starting left tackle
just took off
when AWOL. So I mean, a good thing they had him, but. Again, I don't think you changed the process on the Jalen Moore signing, but boy, howdy. Who would have thought Elijah Mitchell would have been a bad signing when he hadn't played for the last 2 years because of a soft tissue injury?
No, it seemed good. Seemed like a strong move. I just really feel like if you're Kansas City at this point, this sounds like the dumbest take in the world because it is really stupid, but that's my brand. They got to stop fucking around with these cutesy little what if Jerry Tillery decides to cash in on his potential from 15 years ago? What if we brought back Derek Nottie for a swap of picks?
Yeah.
To your point earlier, to repeat, bring in good football players. Stop trying to find some hidden value that this guy, he. You know why? If Michael Pittman gets cut, he's going to be expensive because he's fucking good.
Yeah.
That's why. If I go out and buy a car that's $30,000. It's probably a pretty reliable car. It's a pretty good car, whatever.
Yeah.
If I go get a car for $6,000, the shit doesn't have an engine.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I save money, but I have to now ride around like I'm fucking Fred Flintstone. Okay? It doesn't work. Mm-hmm. And the Chiefs have this thing about we got Juju back. Great, he stinks. What's the next argument you have? That's great. We got 500 snaps out of this guy for $2 million, but yeah, he's terrible. That's why you got him for that. Yeah. If you'd like to bring Hollywood Brown back, yes, you will get him for a good price. You know why? Because he's Hollywood Brown. That's why. That's the reasoning. You need to go out and invest money. Yeah, Travis Etienne, Breece Hall, they're going to cost money. You know what else they're going to do? They're going to rush for 1,200 yards. Mm-hmm. You need to spend money on these guys. And even the Chiefs, listen, you go out and get a guy who's been ultra productive and it doesn't work out. That sucks, but at least you can defend it.
Yeah.
I will never get on them about when they signed Sammy Watkins.
Sure. Yeah.
You know what? Yeah. He was an injured guy. Yeah. There's injuries in Kansas City. You know what? Sammy Watkins should play football. He got hurt and it was a struggle at times. They don't win the Super Bowl without Sammy Watkins.
100%.
It's the same reason I always defend the Frank Clark thing.
Mm-hmm.
Especially from a football perspective. Listen, was he worth $105 million in a vacuum? No, he wasn't. That fucking guy in the playoffs was Lawrence Taylor. You know what? He was worth it. I don't care. You're trying to win Super Bowls. That's the point.
Yeah.
Nobody's going into a playoff game facing the Chiefs going, man, I don't know how we're going to keep the top on the defense with Juju out there. But you get some real receivers on that team.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, yeah, you got to account for that guy. They have to stop being timid and trying to work around the fringes at times.
Yeah. And
stop trying to project. Look, stop. Go get a guy who's good. Just go get a guy who's good and talented and I know can produce. And if you get me that guy, we're in a good spot.
What is interesting to me too, you bring this up, and I think this is a really good point when it kind of talk about the Tyreek Hill thing too, is that there's no reason for them to quote unquote go back, right? Like you need to evolve your game. We've seen how it's been stale.
Yeah,
you are going back. You know, I mean, I guess it could be commentary about the Eric Bieniemy hiring too. You're going back, but there's no need to sign and run it back with all these guys. It's like you need to evolve and you need change, and change is what makes you evolve. So the way that they've been operating of re-signing Hollywood Brown, re-signing Juju Smith-Schuster. Well, I think Juju Smith-Schuster has been a phenomenal asset to the team. I think Juju Smith-Schuster for his service. He's done a lot of great things and played his role very well. None of it's Juju's fault that he has to be out there 87% of the snaps, right? This is a fundamentally broken system from the Chiefs roster building perspective, that Juju Smith-Schuster has to be out there for 87% of the snaps for their offense to work and their offense to run. So what it really comes down to is you have to make change to evolve, and we need to see evolution from this offense this year more than any other year in the Patrick Mahomes era, that you need to see some evolution. So I think that in turn would lead to bringing in some new guys and new guys who are actually good at football. And that's kind of where I'm at. It seems like, nostalgia is a hell of a drug too. So a lot of fans, obviously, when they see that these guys are released, or there's old Chiefs players that they remember cheering for, Tano Passanio, right? When Colin Saunders is on the trade block, when you got, I was going to say Dorian O'Daniel, but he never went and played anywhere else. I think Reggie Ragland was the only linebacker from that first Super Bowl team that actually went and played elsewhere. I mean, Anthony Hitchens retired and didn't.
We had the one guy who also ended up getting in trouble off the field. Wilson.
Yeah. Oh, Damon Wilson. Yeah. So, I mean, like, you see guys like that go around, and offensive players too. Like, oh yeah, maybe we could bring him back. And I get it. Nostalgia sells, man. Nostalgia is the reason that, a lot of people have the things that they have. That's why I have this jersey that I'm wearing right now, nostalgia. And it doesn't need to be like that for your football team. I'll say that. I don't think it needs to be that way. I don't think that the Chiefs are operating on nostalgia. I don't want you to think that I'm saying that Brett Veach is up there being like, remember when we had Raheem Nunez Roches? Yeah, let's bring that guy back. I don't think he's up there saying that.
It's time for the home.
Yeah, Brett, we need to have an intervention if that's the case, because I'm sure he's listening. But I just think that to shift your mindset going into this kind of free agency, this rumor season of, okay, you don't necessarily need to bring back the players because they're not going to be the same. You need to evolve. The change is a stimulant to evolution.
By the way, just Damian Wilson. No, I mentioned
Damian. Yes,
he had done some things. On July 4th, 2017, he was arrested at Toyota Stadium. Which, if you're not familiar, it's
soccer
down in Texas, Frisco.
Yeah.
On 2 counts of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon during an Independence Day celebration. That was before he signed with the Chiefs. Then signed with the Chiefs, then left the Chiefs, and on April 19th, 2022, Wilson was again arrested in Frisco. This time for allegedly threatening to kill his ex-girlfriend.
Cool.
He was released on $5,000 bond.
Good thing we're just like letting those guys go.
The guy seems all right. Yeah. So
give me $5,000, you get out.
Back on another guy with all kinds of issues, both for and after with the Chiefs. I think at some point for Kansas City here, if you're Brett Veach, you have to stop going after these like relics of another time period. The 8th stint of McCall Hardman and Derek Nottie, and like, hey, you know what? Like, if we bring back Mike Pennell for an 18th tour, like he'll probably, you got to just stop.
Mm-hmm.
You got to stop.
Mm-hmm.
It's over. Like, you need to start looking at what is the next iteration of this football team, because here's the really, really good news. Okay. You have God and cleats at quarterback.
It does help.
Right?
Yeah.
That is helpful. If you put a good team around that guy, you are either going to have a chance to win the Super Bowl or you are going to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
That's how the sport works. Okay. Yep. The Bulls put a modicum of talent around Jordan in the early 90s. And it was like, that's great. Dynasty. Like, People talk about that team like, oh my God, the amount of talent he had. Pippen was a terrific player.
Pippen was really good.
Horace Grant was a good player.
Magic legend.
True. Big rec specs. The rest of that team was like B.J. Armstrong, John Paxson, who's just a white guy who could shoot threes. Like,
need that.
Bill Cartwright, who was 100 years old at that point. Okay? Like, they built a good team around him in those years. And listen, they had a great coach or anything else. But the point is, the Chiefs also have a Hall of Fame coach. Horace Grant was a one-time All-Star in his career. And by the way, it was the year Jordan wasn't there. Okay? Yeah. So, listen, you don't need to build an unbelievable team around him. That's the great part of having a superstar at the most important position in sports. Like, you don't, it's kind of like when you've got an absolute top tier number one pitcher going for you on a given day.
Oh, yeah, like an ace. Mm-hmm.
You don't need to score 5 runs. You need to score 3, and you're going to win the game.
Scrape a couple across. Mm-hmm.
That's it. That's all you got to do. If I got Randy Johnson and his Diamondbacks here pitching for me, like, I'm not worried about scoring 5 times. Like, hey, man, all of a sudden the bunt looks pretty good. How about just getting them on over, Like, the Chiefs don't need to go out and add 7 stars to the team. Go give them a couple of weapons, a league average defense, and 3 seconds to throw the ball. And look at that. You're 14-3.
Yeah.
Like, that's what they need to do, but you're never going to do that by sitting there going, you know what? Let's get 5 games out of Rashee Rice. And I bet McCole Hardman, he's probably available. Like, you got to stop. You just have to stop.
Yeah. And if there's ever a year to insulate Patrick Mahomes with good players around him on the offensive side of the ball, unlike what you've done, it'd be this year, the year that he's coming off a season-ending knee injury. So I think that's a good place for him to be. Anything else, Matt? I just refreshed the NFL news page, and it looks like Lane Johnson's coming back for a 14th season with the Eagles. So that's good for the Eagles because they were staring down the barrel of losing like half of their offensive line.
Yeah.
3/5 of it.
I got nothing.
Me either.
But yeah, that is key for them, yes.
That is, yeah. All of the news going on around the NFL has been Chiefs related, and now that I look at like the scroll through the news page, it's all Chiefs related. Rashid Shaheed wants to re-sign with the Seahawks. Who knows if they'll do that? The Seahawks are for sale. That's kind of crazy. That's probably never happened, right? The teams won the Super Bowl and be like, all right, by the way, they're for sale.
I have to think, but not off the top of my head.
I mean, any in the big 4 sports, I don't know if you win a championship and then immediately go for sale. But like again, like this was always the plan for the Paul Allen estate to put them up for sale because of Paul Allen died. So then they were like, all right, we'll put them up for sale. Like this was always part of the plan. And then them winning the Super Bowl in the middle of it was just like, oh, this is really going to skyrocket the price for this team. I mean, we're talking about like $19 billion is what I saw the assessment to be for the Seahawks. Like that's
not 9.
Maybe it's 9.
It's not 19.
Yeah,
that's the price of like 3 franchises.
Okay. No. Okay. The Seahawks sale price is expected to set a new NFL record, surpassing the $6.05 billion price by Josh Harris paid for the Commanders in 23. So, yeah, I think $9 billion is the price that they are setting it at. $9.19.
Some people in the league, I do think that they could get close to $9 million, if not, or $9 billion, if not $9 billion. Yeah, it's
that's a lot of money.
It's not bad.
Bezos gonna drop the bag for him. Is that who they think is gonna buy it?
I don't know who the hell's gonna buy him. I don't know if the NFL wants Bezos involved. I could be wrong, but
it's too many. Yeah, I feel like there's too many cooks in the kitchen, especially when you talk about like the Prime deal and everything like that. Like that just feels like
it's like years ago.
Conflict of interest.
No, this isn't political. I already see like people like just like getting over their keyboards. It's like when Trump wanted to buy the Bills years ago. Years ago. And the NFL's like, no. I just think the NFL doesn't want owners who are like super out there.
Right.
And look, don't get me wrong. Money's money. Okay.
David.
Money's. Yeah. They'll take the money. Yeah. But it's like a lot of those guys are not like I don't know if they want like celebrities owning teams.
Sure. I think that makes sense.
I think they'd rather it be somebody who like made their money quietly in business and like they're not going to be in the way. Because like a guy like Bezos invites scandal and invites criticism. Yeah, they don't want that kind of. Now, of course, with some recent developments in the world, some of their owners are getting heavily criticized and scrutinized. But it's but yeah, who knows, man? I mean, Bezos' money is as green as anybody else's. So
that's true. I bet there's like a tech billionaire out there that we don't know about. It's probably what it's going to be, like some tech billionaire that like we have no clue who he is, but he has a bunch of money. It's like, yeah, I think owning the Seahawks would be fun.
Right.
And like that would probably be kind of who it is. But crazy time in the NFL. As we will be in the heat. I think we're really close to rumor season going on right now. We're going to get all these cuts where rumor season is going to be hot and heavy when we're at the NFL Combine. But I think that's going to do it for this Friday edition of That Football Show. Thank you guys so much for listening all the way until the end of the podcast. We'll be back on Monday, talk about whatever. I'm sure there's going to be plenty for us to talk about on Monday. I can't imagine that we're going to have anything less to talk about. We do appreciate you guys listening all the way till the end of the podcast. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. Let us know how much better we are than every other podcast that you listen to. It is Friday, so that means I go to the KCSN 5-star rating and reviews. If you leave a 5-star rating and review, I will read it on here. Just make sure to tell us that we are better than everybody. You guys got to pick up the slack because we haven't had one. So go to Apple Podcasts, 5-star rating and review. I have seen recently on Spotify, people are leaving comments on the Spotify podcast. I didn't know you could do that. And so that's something else that I'm going to have to monitor. Let's see, do we have one for Monday's show? Yes. Shout out Larry Hiley on Spotify, who said all of Pacheco's 15-mile-per-hour runs were between the handoff and Kingsley's ass, none past the line of scrimmage. That is an incredible comment. Thank you, Larry, for that. Very well done for that. But yep, that's going to do it for Friday. Let us know what you guys want to hear us talk about in the next one. But Matt and I will be ready to go for the NFL Combine. So for Matt Verderame, I'm Tucker Franklin. Thank you guys so much. Thank you to our partners, Ben Holiday Bottle and Bond, Bourbon, and Holiday Distillery for making this all possible. We will talk to you on Monday.